Good morning. Storm Francis is going to affect much of the UK today, bringing some torrential rain and some unseasonably strong gusts of wind. Disruption is quite likely. I'll have all the details later in the programme. That's right. Good morning, everybody. Storm Francis is going to be wreaking havoc as it crosses much of the UK today. Very strong winds. To give you an example, we've just had a gust of wind, Pembrey Sands, South Wales, of 54 miles an hour. In Plymouth, recently 50 miles an hour. Heavy rain as well, crossing from the southwest, pushing northeastwards in the hour between 4 and 5 this morning, 13 millimetres. That's just over half an inch of rain fell in parts of Pembrokeshire. So as you can see, disruption is likely. Now, here is the storm here, Storm Francis, named mid-morning yesterday by the Met Office. Look at all the isobars around that area of low pressure. That tells you it is going to be windy wherever you are today. The winds continuing to increase through the morning. And as well as that, look at all this rain moving steadily northwards and eastwards. It's across Northern Ireland, most of England and Wales at the moment. And whenever you see greens and yellows on the charts, that's telling you you can expect some heavy bursts. So there's a lot of surface water and spray already in the road, some very large puddles. There's the risk of localised flooding. A wraparound occlusion around that area of low pressure. So we will see some more rain as we go through the afternoon. Behind the main band of rain, though, across southern England, South Wales, there'll be some showers. These circles in black indicate the kind of wind gust strength. There's the 70 miles an hour, 46 miles an hour. And then for Northern Ireland, Northern England and North Wales and Scotland, we've got further rain to come this afternoon with strengthening winds. Eastern parts of Scotland could have gusts of 50 miles an hour. Some of the Transpennine routes won't be very pleasant if you're crossing them today as well. So do take extra care if you are out and about. Now, temperature-wise, fairly academic with all of this going on, but we've got 12 in Lerwick to 22 in London. And the far north of Scotland will stay the driest for the longest, with a little bit of sunshine. Now, as we head on through the evening and overnight, there will still be some heavy rain. There will still be very gusty winds coming down a tad on what we're looking at today, but you still will hear the wind howling. It's not going to be a cold night, 9 to about 16 degrees. So picking that up and heading through tomorrow, here's the storm moving away, but look at all those isobars, especially so across eastern parts of the UK. So we start off on a very gusty note tomorrow morning, gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour. And just very slowly as we go through the day, that wind will start to abate. You can also see the rain moves away. We'll start off with that rain in eastern areas, and behind it there will be some dry weather, the best of which will be in the west. There will still be 1 or 2 showers knocking around. I'll have more details in half an hour. That's right, yes. Well, there's a lot going on with the weather today. Storm Francis, as Dan rightly said there, is making its presence felt across our shores today. Very strong winds. I'll show you the recent gusts in a jiffy. Some heavy rain, 13 millimetres fell in just an hour in parts of Pembrokeshire between 4 and 5 this morning. So that's just over half an inch. Disruption is quite likely. Now, the recent wind gusts that we've had in the last hour or so, you can see Milford Haven quite exposed, 54 miles an hour. Plymouth, 48. Aberdaron, 46. Yeovil, 50 miles an hour. So you're getting the idea. Storm Ellen is this area of low pressure. Look at all those isobars, and as it takes its fronts and its rain northwards, it could lead to quite a bit of disruption actually. You can see the amount of rain that's been moving across Northern Ireland, England, Wales and southern Scotland in the last few hours. So there's a lot of surface water and spray on the roads. There is the risk today of some localised flooding, and couple that with the wind, while some treacherous travelling conditions. Wales and Northern England through the course of the afternoon. So if we take a look at the kind of wind gusts that we are expecting, they're going to be pretty strong. So the storm is still developing, the low pressure still deepening. You can see 66 mile an hour gusts of wind across South Wales this afternoon, 50 even inland, moving north across the Transpennine routes. It's not going to be pretty pleasant with the combination of the wind and the rain. 48 miles an hour across Northern Ireland and eastern parts of Scotland, as well as the rain gusting to 50 miles an hour. It's the far north of Scotland, particularly the Northern Isles, that will hang on to the sunshine for the longest. Temperatures fairly academic, but 12 to 22 degrees. Now through this evening and overnight, here's the centre of the low pressure, and you can see it starts to push a little bit closer to the North Sea. Still a lot of rain around it, still very windy, just a tad lighter winds than we are looking at the moment and through the course of today. And tomorrow that low pressure will start to drift away, but for a time it will still be very windy. The headlines are next. Me, Naga, I couldn't believe my ears. 4 months. It's the 25th of August. Goodness me, where's this year gone? But today, well, we have got some rather wild weather on the cards. Storm Francis already making its presence felt. It's going to move across much of the UK today, bringing very strong winds. Some of us already have got very gusty winds. Heavy rain, disruption is quite likely. To give you an idea of the recent gusts of wind, in the Needles, 57 miles an hour, Plymouth 55, Ronaldsway in the Isle of Man 44, Ballypatrick 48, that's in Northern Ireland, and of course we're looking at Aberdaron, which is in Wales, 48 miles an hour. Here we've got low pressure. This is Storm Ellen. Look at all the isobars and the weather fronts. The weather fronts have been bringing in all this rain through the course of the night. Again, rainfall totals really mounting up, particularly so at the moment in Wales. And if you add on the strength of the wind, well, it's a nasty combination. If you are travelling, do take it easy today. There's some huge puddles, a lot of surface water and spray, and the risk of localised flooding. So the rain moves north. The greens and yellows telling you some heavy bursts. But look at this curl that comes back in across Northern Ireland, North Wales and Northern England. So the rain's not done with you just yet. As we go through the afternoon, behind the rain for the rest of England and Wales, there'll be some brightness, maybe a glimmer of sun. Today, the likes of Wales, the Channel and also southwest England could have gusts as much as 70 miles an hour. Some treacherous conditions crossing the Pennines and the winds picking up across eastern Scotland. With that rain, we're looking at gusts of 50 miles an hour. It's just the far north of Scotland that will hang on to the sunshine. Temperatures fairly academic, it's not going to feel great. We're looking at 12 in Lerwick to highs of 22 in London. Now, through this evening and overnight, here's our low pressure, here's the centre of it. Remember, the rain is rotating around it, still some heavy rain to come and still gusty winds tonight. Maybe just easing a tad, but not much more than that. And we're looking at temperatures falling between 9 and 15 degrees, so it's not going to be a cold night. As we go through tomorrow, here's Storm Ellen continuing to move away onto the near continent, but still we've got all those isobars across our shores. So it's going to be a gusty start to the day tomorrow, especially in the east, gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour. Still some rain around as well, petering out through the day, but with a ridge of high pressure building in from the west, things will quieten down and we will see some sunshine with tomorrow's top temperature at 22. I have no clue at all, Naga. Good morning, everybody. Storm Francis is wreaking havoc already across our shores and will be with us as we go through today, for some tonight and the first part of tomorrow, bringing very strong winds, heavy rain and the likelihood of some disruption. Now, you can see quite nicely on the pressure chart when it comes up exactly what is going on, but the kind of wind speeds that we've had already this morning have been in excess of 50 miles an hour. Plymouth 55, Aberdaron in North Wales 46, Ronaldsway in the Isle of Man 44 miles an hour. This is Storm Ellen. Look at all those isobars right the way across the land, coupled with the weather fronts bringing in all that rain. And we've seen quite a deluge of rain already this morning. It's coming from the southwest, it's progressing northeastwards. There'll be a lot of surface water and spray on the roads and some rather large puddles. So that combination of the wind and the rain is going to make to some nasty travelling conditions today. So the first batch of rain, Northern Ireland, eventually Wales and also Northern England, bringing in more rain. But as we travel further south, behind all this morning's rain, it will brighten up with some showers, but the wind will still very much be a feature. The black circles indicating the kind of gust strength you can expect, with exposure through the English Channel, southwest England and also parts of Wales. We're looking at gusts 60, 65, possibly 70 miles an hour. And as we travel further north, even inland, we're looking at very strong gusts of wind. The wind strengthening across eastern Scotland through the afternoon, gusting 50 miles an hour. The far north of Scotland, though, staying in the driest conditions with some sunshine. Now, temperature-wise today, fairly academic in all of this, but we're looking at a disappointing 12 to 22 degrees. As we head on through the evening and overnight, here's our low pressure, here's the centre, and it's continuing to move slowly eastwards. There'll still be some heavy rain around it and still gusty winds. The wind coming down a tad, but not much more than that, and it is going to be a mild night. So through tomorrow, here's Storm Ellen pulling away, but we still have a lot of isobars across our shores. So it is going to be a windy start to the day, particularly so in eastern areas, gusting 30. Building in from the west, that will settle things down. So in the west, we'll see some sunshine and things will improve as we go through the day as we drift further eastwards. Temperatures ranging from 13 in the north to 22 in the south. The headlines are coming up next. Definitely worried, Dan. Where's this year gone? I love Christmas, but keep it in December. Now, I'm going to be talking today about Storm Francis, which is already showing its hand across our shores in the shape of some torrential rain and very strong gusts of wind. Disruption is quite likely with this combination. The Met Office has various yellow weather warnings out for the wind and also the rain. And the kind of gusts that we've seen of late in the last hour or so, in the Mumbles 55, Valley in Anglesey 51, Plymouth 53, Belfast 45, Bournemouth 40 and Blackpool 33. So you get the gist. This area of low pressure is Storm Francis. Met Office named it yesterday morning, and you can see all the isobars associated with the storm as well as the weather fronts. Now the weather fronts are producing all this rain. It's been falling steadily through the course of the night. Large rainfall totals now mounting up, and there's a lot of surface water and spray on the roads and some huge puddles. So if you're travelling, do take extra care. Now, if we start off with the rain, it's moving steadily northwards. The greens and yellows denoting where the heaviest bursts are. Watch how it curls round, taking another swipe at Northern Ireland, Wales and Northern England through the afternoon. But move south of that, something brighter is coming our way with some showers, but it still is going to be windy. The black circles indicate the strength of the wind gusts, but with exposure across the English Channel, southwest. See why disruption is quite possible. More rain to come, some treacherous conditions crossing the Transpennine routes today, and through the day the wind will strengthen across eastern Scotland, gusting to about 50 miles an hour. It's the far north of Scotland that hangs onto the driest and sunniest conditions. Temperatures fairly academic, but we're looking 13 in the north to about 23 as we slip down towards the south. Now, through this evening and overnight, here's the centre of the low pressure, that's Storm Francis, and it's going to be slowly starting to move towards the North Sea, but it's still going to be a wet night for some of us, and we're also still looking at very gusty winds. Not quite as gusty as today, but you'll still hear them, hear the wind howling. A mild night in prospect with overnight lows 8 to 15. Now tomorrow, there goes Storm Francis, that area of low pressure, but have a look at all the isobars still across our shores first thing. So it's going to be a gusty start to the day, particularly so in eastern areas where we're looking at gusts 30 miles an hour, possibly 40. Still some rain around, but that does tend to clear because in the west already we'll have a ridge of high pressure building across us, introducing sunshine with highs tomorrow up to 23. If you're out and about, do take care.